Hey, how are you? Yeah, I saw in your paperwork that your ears are pretty clogged. Are you having a difficult time hearing? Okay, both ears are just fine. Any sinus congestion, cough, sore throat? Cough? Okay. I want to see what the extent is of the diminished hearing, so I'm going to whisper a series of words in each of your ears, and I would like you to repeat them for me, okay? Okay. So, cucumber, cat, papaya. Okay. Spaghetti, cricket, sticker. Okay. So that was a bit of a strain. Okay. Noted. I'm going to palpate right here, right in between your ears and your jaw. I'm going to feel your eustachian tubes, and I want to just see if they're congested. Tender. Okay. Yeah, they are pretty congested. I want to take a quick peek at your throat. I'm going to push this down on your tongue so I can see, okay? Okay. Open for me, please. Perfect, okay. Yeah, okay. Take that. So I'm not seeing any active drainage, but I am seeing some redness, which does indicate to me that there is some drainage process occurring. Okay. Any earache at all? How about, are you feeling any pressure? Okay, both sides? Any ringing in your ears or like a whooshing sound? A bit of whooshing. Okay, that tracks with the eustachian tubes. Any dizziness? Okay. let's check for sure, okay? I'm gonna turn your head just a little bit while keeping very intense eye contact. And I'm gonna be looking for something called nystagmus, which is when excuse me, my brain was moving faster than my mouth. Which is when your eyes flicker in response to feeling a loss of balance. So, start. Not going to be big movements, okay? Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Okay. Have you had any fever or chills? Okay. Your temperature was a little bit raised. What was the temp? Okay, not too bad. Alright. I'm going to take a quick ear temperature, okay? So this is just going to go right inside like so. I'm going to check the other side. So it is a tiny bit elevated at 99.6, but that's not very high, so not too concerned about that. Now I'm going to take a look inside of your ears. Any tenderness here? Okay. Well, these are quite clogged. I can't really see too much because there's so much wax in here that's obscuring my vision. gonna have to probably do some cleaning to be able to identify if there's any kind of infectious process inside the ear. I'm gonna take a peek inside of your nostrils now, okay? Not seeing any drainage there, but they are a bit red. Put the other cover back on. Okay. I'm going to palpate around the front of your ears, your jaw, neck, and across your shoulders, looking for any kind of inflammation, lymphadenopathy, anything that might suggest that your immune system is currently working on something. Any pain or tenderness there? How about there? And there? Anything there? Okay. I just want to listen to your chest really quickly here. Can I have you take a deep breath in and out for me? Good. And again. Again. Great. And one more time. Okay. Well, your lungs sound clear, which is good. I didn't feel any active lymph nodes, also good. Sorry, my throat is really scratchy today. My husband has been insisting on sleeping with the windows open, which does make for better sleep, but it also means congestion in the morning. Usually we use the air conditioner, but because it's below 60, he doesn't want to have it break. So, okay. Just checking when the last time was that we cleaned your ears. So it's been about 3 months. Okay. So I am going to do an ear cleaning, but I want to be careful not to further impact the wax that's in your ears. So we're going to stay away from water. And to start, I'm going to use just a tweezer to see if I can pull out some large bits, and then we'll work with something more delicate. Let's get you draped. Just because on the off chance anything drips or falls, I'm sure you don't want it on your clothing. And then, in most cases, I would use drops, but I think with you today, I'd prefer to try and use heat. I am pretty reticent to add any more fluid, or any fluid really, to the ears right now. I didn't realize these fizzed. Interesting. Okay. Or this one's just special. Okay. These are pretty warm. If they're too warm, let me know, and I can add another drape around them, okay? Okay. I'm just going to hold them up right over your ears, just for a minute or two. Is that okay, temperature-wise? How was your holiday? Good, okay. Low key is always nice. I can appreciate that. Mine was pretty low key as well. I always host our family coming over for Christmas Eve. We do both Christmas and Hanukkah. It didn't really feel too much like a winter break because I still had to drive my son to school every day. He is a wrestler, so they don't get a break. They still have practice. And it's an interesting contrast from football because with football there's only one game a week. With wrestling there could be multiple meets in a week and then a tournament on the weekend, so they don't really get downtime. But I don't mind because it gives me a chance to get out and spin some Pokestops and play some Pokemon Go while he's in practice. Take a quick peek. I can't really tell if that did much, but I guess we'll find out in a moment. Oh, it's right here. I'm gonna go in with my tweezer, okay? And if at any point this feels uncomfortable, let me know and I can change things up. Okay. So this is kind of like a miniature little Q-tip that has a little cotton fuzz. And as you can see, it's quite small, so it's not at risk of impacting anything further. I'm going to use this to kind of try and loosen things up from around the edges. See if it's easier to pull things out. You can hear out of this ear now. Good. Okay. I'm gonna go in with a brush just to clear out some of the residual. So now we get to work on this side. That unclogged this side? Good, okay. Alright, let's go back in with the brush then. not seeing any kind of fluid present. But that being said, your eustachian tubes were quite congested, which makes me wonder if we have an issue with sinus drainage, possibly an allergy, or if there is an ear infection present more deeply inside of the ears. So what I'd like to do is prescribe you an ear drop as well as some allergy medications such as Zyrtec and some Flonase. And I'm going to prescribe these because that will save you some money. Over the counter, they're pretty expensive. But if your insurance covers some of it, you won't have to pay quite so much money. You're going to want to take those at night since the Zyrtec can make you kind of sleepy. And one thing important about the Flonase is that, let's pretend this is your nostril, okay? Actually, we'll do it this way. You don't want it to go straight in. You want it to go in at an angle, so out towards the sinuses, not straight up, all right? And that'll move that towards the eustachian tubes. Okay. So then, really quickly, I'm going to apply some ear drops inside of your ears, okay? And that's not the right ones. Oh. These ones. These are not the fizzing kind. They're just going to kind of lubricate the inside of the ear to help any wax that reaccumulate, kind of just prevent it from sticking. Okay. And then because these drops are kind of more on the oily side, I'm just going to hold some gauze up over your ears just to prevent any drips. And we can go ahead and remove your paper drape here. All right. So CVS is still your pharmacy? Okay. Okay, so no medication allergies, and no interactions here. All right. Okay, so then one more thing really quickly is I'm going to repeat that whispered word hearing test. I'm just going to use numbers, okay? So I want you to repeat for me the numbers that you hear. So 78, 62, 93. 16, 87, 46. Okay. Good. All right. So all right. So I'm going to go ahead and get those prescriptions called in for you, okay? So the Flonase and the Zyrtec you're going to use at night. The Flonase, 1 puff each nostril. The Zyrtec, just 1 pill. And then for the eardrops, I'd like you to use those twice a day for this week and then as needed. And I did give you 2 refills for those, all right? Okay. If despite all of that you start feeling like your ears are getting impacted again, you're having difficulty hearing, if you develop any kind of dizziness, sore throat, runny nose, or sinus congestion, I want you to come back in so we can reevaluate you, okay? Okay. If those symptoms arise, then it can be indicative of there actually being an infectious process present that I'm just not able to see on exam today. And given the nature of your eustachian tubes, it's quite possible. So be on the lookout, okay? Okay. Do you have any questions for me before I step out? Well, if you think of any, please feel free to give me a call, and I will be calling you tomorrow to see how you're doing, okay? Okay. You have a nice weekend, and take care.